Shalom. Let's start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, or Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and I've got this article pulled up. It's from AFP, not quite sure what that is, but I got this push sent to me. And it says, Netanyahu says nothing will stop Israel from defending itself. And so you can see this guy, their prime minister, is on a warpath, and he is not backing down. He's not going to stop. Very similar to Putin, and how Putin has the Lord's hooks in his mouth, and he is driving forward to get this war eventually started, which will be World War III. And Netanyahu's very much on that same path, and they are determined to take over Gaza. And if you remember, back when October 7th happened, there were reports that oil was found in the Gaza Strip and other resources. So there's resources, Esau, and especially Amalek, which is who these people are biblically, they want a part of it, because, and if not a part, they want the whole thing, because they are greedy. And it says, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday denounced a volcano of anti-S and international criticism of Israel's war in Gaza, insisting that no pressure would stop it from defending itself. So they are not going to back down. It says, if Israel is forced to stand alone, Israel will stand alone, Netanyahu said, speaking at a Holocaust Remembrance Day ceremony at the Yad Vashem Memorial in Jerusalem. He lamented that when the National Socialists killed 6 million Jays during World War II, and you see that number 6 because it goes with them, his people were totally defenseless against those who sought our destruction. No nation came to our aid, he said, as the Israeli flag billowed at half-mast, and survivors of the Holocaust prepared to light torches. Today we again confront enemies bent on our destruction, Netanyahu told the large crowd gathered for the ceremony. One yellow chair sat empty, representing the hostages still held captive by Hamas in Gaza. I say to the leaders of the world, no amount of pressure, no decision by any international forum will stop Israel from defending itself. He lamented the surge of criticism seen around the world against Israel over its war in Gaza, ignited after Hamas' unprecedented October 7th attack. And he denounced the terrible volcano of anti-Sism that he said was surging around the world. Netanyahu also compared the protests seen at universities across the U.S. and around the world to the discrimination against Jays at German universities during World War II. And what they're doing is making themselves victims, like they usually do. They're the ones in charge, and they're the ones who claim to be victims. As it says, Amalek was the first of the nations. So Amalek is all the way at the top of the socioeconomic class order, but at the same time they're claiming to be victims. And a lot of these things they set up themselves so that they can claim victimhood. But it's about to turn as people are waking up and realizing that they are not the true people, because the true people, it says, none shall make them afraid. So, but you're seeing them exiting Israel because of this war. And speaking of war, if the true people were there, there would be no more war. But these are not, they're not the true people. These are the Edomites that the scriptures speak of. And it even lets you know that Edom would take over the land of Israel. And that's who they are. And in particular, this is Amalek, the head tribe of the nation of Edom. Edom. But getting back to the article, it says the criticism, he said, was not due to the actions that we do, but because we exist, because we are Jays. So see more of that victimization. And it's is your actions. That's what's happening, because you're not the people. That's why you don't let people in your land actually, or in the land of the Lord, take DNA tests, because it'll show that you are just so-called Caucasians, and you've stolen someone else's heritage. As it says, he covets fields and takes them by violence. That's all they're colonizing. And houses and takes them away, so that they oppress a man in his house and a man in his heritage. Because you steal heritages too. You move into a land and then you name yourselves after that land, and you take up the customs of those people. You're not the people. And this is all this angst and anger against you is because of your actions and your ways, and how you push your ways onto the others, and you steal the resources of the other nations as well. It says, you will not chain our hands. Israel will continue to fight human evil until victory, he says. They are human evil. We will defeat our genocidal enemies. Never again is now. Gaza's bloodiest ever war began following Hamas's attack on Israel that resulted in the death of more than 1,170 people, mostly civilians, according to a tally of Israeli official figures. And yeah, that's about that. But these people, the Amalekites, the least of the flock, they're going to draw out the rest of Edom, especially here in America. The Edomites here, which are just so-called Caucasians, so-called white people, just like this guy on the screen, Benjamin, or Bibi as they call him. He's just a so-called Caucasian. But they're truly the Amalekites, and they are what's called the least of the flock within the scriptures. And they are going to draw out the rest of their cohorts and the rest of the nations to the valley of Yahweh-Shaphat. But him saying they're not going to stop, that shows this devil having great wrath. And in particular, Bibi, or Netanyahu, they say he will be taken up on war crimes once this war stops. So he's going to keep it going so he doesn't have to have a prison sentence. And so he sees that his time is short, but the time of all of the nation of Edom is short. This is the end of their rulership. So this is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath. And that devil is the nation of Edom. Devil goes into deceivers, slanderers, and that's what that nation is. They are there pretending to be a people that they are not. They have changed the images of the holy people to resemble them. And what bigger deception could there possibly be than that blasphemy of white Jesus, quote unquote, and these white people pretending to be the actual people. That's the devil. Those are deceivers. Those are liars. But they're going to come down with great wrath and great anger, because they're lashing out, because this is the end of them. They're being called out on their lies, and it's being exposed. The skirts of Esau are being lifted. It says, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And Bibi has a short time. Once this war's over, sounds like he'll be going into prison. And Edom has a short time, because once World War III is over, they will be in chains and of out of power. I go to Jeremiah 49 and Salakia. Oh, and 20. It says, therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, that he hath taken against Edom. Edom being the so-called Caucasians and those small hatters. And his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock, that being those small hatters, shall draw them out. And that's drawing them out to war. To World War III. They're the catalyst. They're the reason that this is going to be started. And as you saw in that article, he says they are not going to stop. This is not over. It's going to keep going and escalating until full on blown out World War III. It says, surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So they are going to be completely wiped out. And even them being there in the first place in the land, claiming to be the people, that's why this whole war gets started from the get-go. That's the Lord judging these people for the fraud that they have committed, for the blasphemy, for the stealing of the ancient land and the stealing of America. As it says, because these two nations, actually, let's go there. These two nations, these two lands, I think it's in Ezekiel 35. Yeah. Ezekiel 35 and 10, because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there, and that's the northern and the southern kingdom, and that's the land of Israel and the land of America. It says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. And so he's going to judge thee here in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, the Lord's judgment. And it says it here in Joel 3 and verse 2. I will also gather all nations. So all the nations are going to come down, because all the nations have had a part in our downfall. And it says, and will plead them down into the, and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. And that plead goes into judge. He's going to judge these people whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So Israel was scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, mostly due to slavery, different enslavements, and to the curses. But it was done through the different nations, and especially Edom, especially Amalek. Amalek owned the slave ships that we went on. And it says, and parted my land. And so there you are, within the Lord's land, waiting to get judged. You're going to be judged, and harshly. And as well as the Palestinians. They're not the original Philistines. These are Ishmaelites that have parted the land as well. They're not supposed to be there, and they're already being judged. They're being judged through the Lord, who is using his sword, Amalek, to judge these people. They're being judged right now. That's why there's so many deaths of their children and their elderly and just their people in general. That's a part of the judgment in which he's using Amalek to do. And it says, and they have cast lots for my people, and given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. And so both Ishmael and Amalek had a great deal to do within our enslavement. Ishmael had the sub-Saharan slave trade, and Amalek had the triangular slave trade that brought us over here to the land of Babylon. And they're both going to be judged for it, as well as the other nations, but Amalek first and foremost, and they're the reason and the driving force behind World War III being started. We just saw Bibi saying he is not going to stop, and they're not going to stop. And they're not going to stop until the Lord removes them from power. So, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, or Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.